You see the way my carrots are bulging out the side, and they're almost hitting the top of this net now. I've thinned one section at the front and it got too hot, so I'm going to just thin this section. And what I've got here is my homemade garlic and chilli spray. So it's boiled down chilies and garlic. They've gone through a fine mesh sieve. Add water added and some dish soap added, some organic dish soap added in the bottle. And I spray that all over the netting. God, it catches your throat, that chilli. It's got some Scotch bonnets in it. I'm not even in that spray and I get in my throat. But whew, that's strong stuff. Thank God. But what that does, things we do for love, what that does is it just masks the smell of the carrots from the carrot root fly, because it's second week in June. The carrot root fly will be absolutely abundant and flying everywhere, tiny little horrible creatures sent straight by the devil to destroy your carrots. So by doing that, it masks the smell of the carrots, gives you more of a chance of avoiding the pesky things laying its eggs on and around your carrots and utterly destroying your crop, destroying it. Now, I'm going to lift this section up here. I'm going to have to lift these stands are adjustable, so I can kind of pull them up a bit. So I'm going to probably pull them up 6 inches just to give these carrot tops a little bit more room. But let's do a thinning, one thinning. You can see them. Oh, they're just beautiful, absolutely beautiful for baby carrots. So that's what I'm going to be thinning. Probably a clump about that size of them tonight. So they'll be going in the freezer. I'm going to carry on thinning now. I have thinned these carrots one time already, about a month ago, but they've shot up so quick. So they need doing again. And I'll eventually keep thinning until the carrots are spaced about 1.5 inches apart. And then they'll carry on and grow into maturity into lovely big carrots. So, but these little baby carrots this size, they're so sweet and tasty, they're gorgeous. Let's have a try of that one. They just kind of get better. Once they get to this size, they're kind of really nice though. They're lovely. They've got a real sweetness to them. Crunchy, juicy, so tasty. Just, they taste like a million supermarket carrots condensed into one little beautiful sweet thing. And do you know, this organic, beyond organic food it is, this beyond organic food, you don't need as much of it because it really fills you up. It's so nutritious. Anyway, I may be preaching to the converted here, but I'm going to get in here now and thin these carrots. I will get little smaller ones like that, but that's more of a stunted plant. The deeper into the middle I go, you know, the carrots will get smaller. But as I say, I'm looking to thin to about 1 inch. See, smaller again. I'm looking to thin to about 1 inch apart. It's difficult to show you because these are so packed in, but so where you've got sort of 3 carrots growing together, just pull the middle one out so that it gaps them and leaves, you know, a bit more room for the 2 outer ones to grow. If you've got 3 or 4 growing, pull the middle 2 out. Any little carrots like that, definitely take them out because they're probably, well, they're definitely not going to catch up the bigger carrots because the light's being blocked out, so they're not going to get any bigger. And they're going to compete for room with the bigger ones around them. It's the size they're coming out from the centre. Anyway, I've waffled on too much, guys. I'm just going to crack on here before the sun gets to there and cooks me off the allotment. I just found a little spot in the shade here by the polytunnel, and I've just finished doing them. So that's what I'm going to keep. Lovely little crop of baby carrots there. I've just put them in the water barrel which are nice and full now because of all the rain. I'm just going to cut them off there. That will all go in the compost bin. I've got a lot more there. Obviously you can see them, they're just a little bit small to bother messing with, you know, so they'll just go into the compost. A few things I was going to say about thinning carrots which I forgot to mention. So for instance, when I said you know, if you've got 3 carrots, pull the middle one. If you've got 3 carrots together, pull the middle one. So the carrots in that bed were literally growing like that. Okay, so where I said pull the middle carrot, when you've got one like that, you can usually tell by the tops. So you can see by the thickness of the top how big the carrot is going to be. So if you have got 3 carrots growing together like that, just definitely take them 2 out. Always leave the biggest carrot, because if you take them, you know, if you was to take that one out, you're just going to have 2 tiny little carrots that we will probably end up taking that one. So you'd end up with that instead of that. It's just common sense, really. It's critically important though that you do thin the carrots, because if you don't, I mean, I know it's very, very tempting, you know, to think, well, you know, I've pulled all them up, all those carrots, you know, I'm not going to be able to eat, but they just do not mature properly. They just grow tiny, thin and spindly, and you actually get a lot more carrot if you thin them, because these carrots here, that sort of size, I just pull that one to show you, but that sort of carrot, you can see the size difference in them now, and the majority of the carrots in that bed are now that big, and they are spaced roughly about that far apart, the vast majority of them. So in another 2 weeks I will go along and I will take whatever is there, I will take the smallest ones out that are surrounding the biggest carrots, leaving them to be gapped at around that, about 2 inches, something like that. So at the moment they're about 1 inch, they're about there. They want to be about there, and they will then produce beautiful carrots, and you will get much more food than you would leaving all these little carrots in, you know. But these are still edible, and believe me, at that size they are just amazingly sweet and beautiful. So definitely worth thinning them. Right, the sun's the sun's here now. Let's move around a bit. When it gets to where you are, I'm going to have to go because it's just way too hot. I'm going to take down my broad beans now. Most of the broad beans, I'm going to cut them out. They've stopped flowering. They've been producing for about a month now, maybe a little bit longer. I've had many picks off them. I also forgot to mention that carrot bed, it's a 15-foot long bed, and I planted onions and leeks just before I planted the carrots. So the onions and leeks are spaced about that far apart, and then the carrots are sown about 4 inches away from the onions and leeks in the side. So I ended up with carrot drills about that wide, and rather than just have one single drill, which kind of limits the amount of carrots you can grow in the area, the more you spread them out, the more carrots you can grow, to a degree. So I scattered them in a drill about that wide, something like that, just hand broadcasted them. And the onions and garlic are in that bed to mask the smell of the carrots from the carrot root fly. You don't want to go to all that faff. There are varieties of carrot you can buy which are very resistant to carrot root fly. I'm guessing it's just the smell. They don't give off the same smell as normal carrots, and so they're less prone to attack from carrot root fly. I have grown them at home in the past and I haven't needed to net them. And if there's going to be any damage from, you know, I've grown hundreds and hundreds of carrots in boxes and beds at home, and out of hundreds of carrots I might have found 1 or 2 at the absolute most with a little tiny bit of damage on it. So it's worth growing a carrot fly resistant to carrots. There's a few varieties of them, but they're generally called flyaway. So flyaway, F1 carrot. They make nice carrots. They do. They're a nice flavour, don't get me wrong. But it's always good. I just like to grow a different variety because they all taste slightly different. They're all different sizes, different textures. Some store better than others, you know. So that's why I like to grow a nice big spread of carrot. I'm growing Eskimo carrots this year. I sowed them about 2 weeks ago. They're for the overwintering carrot. These are called, I can't remember the name of these ones. It's just escaped me for now. I'll put the name there so you can see it. They're a nice carrot. They grow to a good size. The roots will probably get to about, well, the end of that tap root. That'll probably be the length of that carrot. It's a nice medium-sized carrot, really sweet and tender. They're nice. I've got a packet of flyaway, and I shall possibly plant a few of them in one of the beds as well. It's always good to spread the crops you grow into different varieties. I always think it is, because if one variety may be susceptible to something that other varieties, you know, might be kind of immune to, or might not suffer the same sort of damage and loss if you get a potentially coming through the plot. And that's why I grow lots of different varieties of potatoes as well. Same with my sweet corn, 3 different varieties, the peas, everything. Just spread the varieties out. I always do. If you've got room, it's just such a good idea to do that. I'm going to take these home, just cut the tops off, cut that bit, give them a bit of a rinse, just blanch them for 1 minute in boiling water, and then most of these will be going in the freezer. I'll save enough of these for my supper tonight. Just beautiful. Probably have them with some broccoli and new potatoes. Maybe, I don't know, a little bit of beef or something like that would be nice with them, wouldn't it? Just eating like a Sunday dinner every day at the moment. It's worth growing a carrot. It's worth growing a carrot resistant carrot. It's worth growing a carrot resistant. I'll get it right. It's worth going. It's